Welcome to Mná Feasa, a podcast series featuring stories from older women in County Kilkenny. Produced by me, Helena Byrne, in collaboration with Kilkenny County Council Library Services and Kilkenny Heritage. In episode 7, older women of Kilkenny share their experience of the workplace, what professional ambitions they held for themselves, how young they truly were when setting out on their career path, and what was expected of them as wives and mothers. And your name?
Sally Hayden.
And Sally, you're from Great Namanna as well, originally, just down the road.
Yeah.
And have you lived here all your life?
Well, I went away for a weekend to Dublin to work, but I ran home on a Monday. I went on a Friday and I came home on a Monday crying.
Oh God.
But I was only 14.
Right.
I was only 14.
Oh God, at that age,
Yeah.
I mean.
When I got into the bus hours, we lived beside the ticket man, what do you call it? Conductor.
Yeah.
And I started crying. I said, when I go home, I said, they'll give you the money. You know, they didn't know I was going. But I came home and I never went anymore. Even when I went on my honeymoon, I went for a week and I had to come home Friday. I loved being at home.
Yeah.
Well, like as I said, I was working at 14. In fact, I was working at 11. I was going around with papers, selling papers for Kazans.
Fair play. Kazans would have been a local shop,
Yes,
was it?
the chemist. My grandaunt used to come with me. Get the extra few bob.
Why not? Yeah.
Mm.
And did you have to leave school at that time as
Oh
well?
no,
Or
no,
you
to
were
be
in
the
school?
evening. Oh, I was in school.
Right.
I was in school till I was 14.
Okay.
And then I wanted to go to the tech, but we hadn't any money. So I had to go to work.
Right.
So I said a novena for a job and I got 2 jobs the one day.
I tell you, the novena is a powerful prayer.
I did that novena and I got this job where I was. And I was in it till I got married. I was in it 9 years.
Very good.
And
what was the job?
Kitchen mechanic.
Oh, kitchen mechanic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Comerford's Bakery. I worked in Comerford's Bakery in the office. Someone came up to the school looking for someone and I was 16. So I was there for 7 or 8 years.
Right.
And it was good, you know. And I actually wrote a thing about Diary of a Working Girl in Thomastown about Comerford's. It's in the shadow of the steeple, if you've heard of the shadow of the steeple. Yes. Number 14 is on the way.
There was the college, St. Joseph's Missionary College, and that was a boarding school as well. I ended up working there actually. I did, yeah. And they employed 14 girls in the offices because being a missionary society, they depended on donations from people and mass offerings. So they had 14 girls employed at one stage, and they also printed a magazine called St. Joseph's Advocate 4 times a year, spring, summer, autumn, winter. So they would have stories from the missions, and then the donations that people gave, there would be a certain amount published at the back of the magazine, which I worked on when I worked there. I went for a summer job when I was 17. I was in school. I was supposed to go back and do my leaving, and I was doing a commercial course because I was mad about typing. Wanted to do it. I did a bit of shorthand but never really continued. Our teacher got sick. So I decided this summer, I was just barely 17, I wasn't exactly 17, and I said, my sister was older than me, so she used to have all the style, used to get her cast offs, you know, and her makeup a bit sometimes. And I said to Mammy, I'm going to go up and see. There wasn't much work to get, and I wouldn't go to Kilkenny, wouldn't be allowed, like, you know. I'm going up to see if there wants anyone for summer work in the office. And up I trailed anyway, and I met the director. He was called Father Doyle. He's long dead now. He was a lovely man. And I said to him, I'm just wondering, do you need somebody for the office for the summer? You know, and he said, sure, what can you do? And I said, well, I can type. And he said, okay, will you type something for me? And he set up a typewriter. They were the old ones, you know, the Royals. Yeah. And I did type something, and then he said, can I see your writing? And I always loved writing anyway, so I was ready to write anyway. So I wrote whatever he wanted, you know, and he said, yeah, I will, yeah, you can start. And I forget exactly what I got, but it was a couple of pounds a week, which was great, you know, in 1968, you know. So I went back down to Mammy and I said, I got a job for the summer. And she said, okay, sure, that's grand, off you go, you're dead. Doesn't mind, do whatever you want to do, like, you know. So I ended up staying 11 years. When I came back to September, I said to Mum, what will I do? You know, and she said, what do you want to do? I said, I really should go back and do the Leaving Cert. And she said, well, what do you want? I said, you know, I want the money to buy style clothes and mini skirts and, you know, sling back shoes and the whole lot and the makeup, you know. So I said, try I do it for a month or two and I'll see how I'll get on. I never left till I got married, like, you know.
What is your name?
Carmel.
How long did you spend in Castlecomer? Were you there throughout your whole childhood, or...?
Yes, because I had secondary school there. Then I went to London. I trained to be a nurse. Went off then and I worked in Uganda, East Africa.
Oh, wow. If you don't mind me asking, normal day working in Uganda, what did that entail for you?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I was in midwifery and sometimes I was in general. I was there, about 5 or 6 years, I think. Well, I did public health then.
Right.
Training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was appointed to Manor.
Excellent.
Public health nurse.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the brewery like to work at?
Well, that was great.
Yeah. What was a
All the
day
different
in the
characters.
life of the brewery? What would work entail for you?
Well, the accounting machines, and they were huge at the time. They were very new, and there were 2 of us on those, and like it was. And the draymen would come in with their dockets, and I mean, some of them were nearly illiterate, like you'd have to decipher the writing on it.
And what were they called? The what men?
The draymen,
Dray.
the horses, you know, the dray horses and the cars. And I remember when the cans, as we called them, came in first, like, and I can remember the coopers in the brewery and the making the barrels.
Oh, wow. I didn't realise they were made on
Oh,
site.
they were, yeah. And they built a little church then. I don't know, was that the Marian year or something? They opened, like, it was just a little oratory, really. And every evening, when work finished at 5 o'clock, and some of the men would have finished at that time, they'd always say the rosary. And people often say to me, why was it cobbled that laneway down on the 2? And I said, that was when the dray horses, the wheels, the cobbles stopped the horses from slipping, and the smooth part was where the wheels of the dray car.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it went.
Yeah. So, long before the cars, it was to accommodate the,
absolutely,
the horse and cart. Yeah. And what school did you go to?
St John's and the press for a while.
Okay.
For moving to England, yeah.
Right. And there's a story in that, I'm sure. How or why did you end up moving to England? Was it for work or...?
No, the presentation nuns had a liaison with the nuns in England. And if someone wanted to move over there, you would go live in there and they gave you the foundation. And then when you become 18, you moved into they find you a hospital that took you in for training.
Right.
That was the plan.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it was just 2 friends out in the street playing with some others, and 2 friends came and said, we're off to England. I said, how are you going to England? And they told me the story about the nuns. I flew home to ask if I could go, and spoke to the nuns. Mother said, if you're going to nuns, you'll be safe. So went over to them, they said yes. And the 3 of us left Kilkenny at 15 years of age from Kilkenny Station to meet someone in Paddington. When I think now, the craziness of it. Paddington Station, huge, and I think we were very innocent though for all of it, because when we went in there, they had an emergency. An old lady had fallen and she had a hemorrhage and died in the toilet, so they said, could we help? That's how it was. And you know, coming away from that situation, all that blood and a person dead there, and I was just thinking, I'm a nurse. You know, believing I was a nurse because I had helped out with this situation, you know.
Yeah.
The innocence of it,
Yeah. So most people that left, it wasn't like nowadays people go to, we'll say, Australia or England for the adventure more than anything. But in those days it was more a case of necessity or
Well, it
getting a
wasn't.
decent job.
There was no work to be had.
No.
But back in the 50s, there just wasn't any work. No.
I was getting married in 1976 at this stage. I was getting married in August, and so there was a vacancy in Kilkenny, so I went for that, and it was a bit of promotion as well.
Okay, right.
And so I got that.
And when you say Kilkenny, you mean the town?
Yeah,
city?
the railway station in Kilkenny.
Right, yeah.
I was in Kilkenny then for 33 years.
Good Lord.
Yeah, good Lord is right, yeah. And you'd say, well, yeah, you'd wonder where they went, but yeah.
Yeah. And I presume you saw dramatic change over that amount of years in the nature of your job even?
Yeah, I did, yeah. But now when I see the job, it's totally different. There's no such thing as booking online. Technology really didn't enter our jobs for years. And then we started inputting timesheets. Then we got the job of inputting the timesheets on our own computer system.
Okay.
But it was hitched up to a place in Oriel Street in Dublin. But we started like doing bits like that, and the next thing the ticket machine. It was called an Almex ticket machine.
Okay.
And you stuck down your ticket and you put in your codes and you pressed a button and you printed the ticket.
I done a commercial course in Waterford.
Okay.
I cycled into Waterford, did a commercial course, and then the last place I worked before I got married was in Power Seeds. It was they had a florist, all seeds and all that, but there was about 15 of us in the office together, which I loved. And I came to Ballahale in 1967. I was 24, and we sold the public house in 97, so I came out of it when I was 54, so I had 30 years in the pub.
30 years then you were running
I was
the pub.
in the pub, yeah.
And I presume you didn't put up with it for 30 years because you didn't like it. I presume you must have liked it a lot, did you?
Had no other option, Helena, no other option. Good memories, like we had good times and hard times, I suppose, but look at, I had my health, thank God, and
yeah.
And then they all looked after themselves, all the lads, the kids, and they all helped in the pub and the whole lot.
Yeah.
That was it.
So they were reared in the pub then?
They were
really?
reared, they're all reared in the pub, yeah, sure. I mean, we sold in 97, so his mother had the pub, you see. Henry's mother and father, like that, we didn't have to buy the pub.
Oh, I didn't realise that.
No, Henry's grandfather was there.
So it's in the family a long time.
Yeah, Henry's grandfather was in the pub. He died, Henry's grandfather died in 52 and his father died in 54. His father was only 49. And so then he went into the pub, and I was there, married in 67, and 10 years then Henry's mother was there on and off. Not easy at times, but so she got
two matriarchs in the one.
Yes, and so then, like I said, that was, I was quite young, like 24 was young that time, and country
absolutely.
people like we did. But look, it was life, and that was it.
When you talk about the pub, when you had it for the 30 years and the sociable side of it, and people would pop in and have the chat and all that kind of thing, do you think we're sort of lacking that now?
Yeah, definitely in the like of little villages,
Yeah.
But like, if we were in the shop in Ballahale, there's someone say, "Oh God, were you up at Nora's? Nora had a big celebration or something." Like things like that are gone.
Yeah.
And
so
I'm like,
like the local news doesn't get spread
yes.
now.
You go down to Burns' in my time and Holden's or whatever. Like, you'd always meet someone
I'm retired 15 years now, and there's huge changes. The staff numbers have gone way down.
Do you feel as though let's say when you started in Kilkenny, a passenger going from Kilkenny to Dublin would have interacted with so many more people?
Oh yeah.
Even buying the ticket and all that sort of thing. Whereas nowadays you can buy the ticket online, you print it in the machine. You could actually travel from Kilkenny to Dublin without actually speaking with anyone.
You wouldn't. Yeah, that's it exactly. Yeah, there's very few checkers on I find on a lot of the trains even now.
Yeah.
And you go in and you look for your name on the you have to book your ticket.
Yeah.
No, the only time they were pre-booking in my time was for an All-Ireland. We sold the tickets for the trains in advance the day of an All-Ireland.
Ah, right, yeah.
Yeah, and we had great fun that time. We were awfully busy, of course, but you had 4 or 5 trains and you had physical tickets to hand out and to take money in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there would have been a buzz around, I suppose.
Great buzz, great buzz, yeah.
I remember when it came to the careers, choosing the careers, I was going for the Vanguard, as it was then.
Really?
Yeah. And didn't have a great flair for Irish. Love Irish as a spoken language, but didn't have a great flair for it. When you needed, them times you needed honours Irish to get into the Guards. So that kind of put that out of my head, you know. And then I went to, I was going to do Montessori teaching, and I was doing a replacement in a classroom with my sister Phyllis one time, and I lasted 1 week and that was it. Couldn't deal with it. And hence then I was ended up in an office.
Right.
You know.
Okay. What office did you end up in?
In PMPA, insurance office.
Okay. And you yourself, did you work?
Yeah, I worked in the county council as typhus.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
Okay.
until I got married, and then I moved
was
up
going
to High
ask,
Street when I got married.
Was your generation what was it called, the marriage bar? Was it when you got married? Did you have to give up work, or was it an option?
Yeah, we did, but it was removed shortly after so I could have gone back, but I didn't go back because the kids were all small,
Right. Yeah.
It was really, well, to get somebody to mind, say that my eldest at the time, it would be easier to stay at home myself.
Right.
It wasn't easy them times to get anybody to mind a child. So you just made, in your head you had it all planned kind of, and you just stayed at home. But when my youngest, we have 6 children. I got married in 1977. We have 6 children, and my youngest then was 4 when I went back to work.
Right. Okay.
And then I went back to work as a carer.
Okay.
Which I love.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the caring.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And the rest is history.
The rest is history. In between.
And was there, would you have felt the women on staff were treated differently to the men?
I was there most of the time on my own. I was the only female most of the time now. But yeah, we were kind of, there was a couple of older men now, and especially when, say, Niamh arrived, the mother is rearing her. The granny is wearing, meaning my mother.
Yeah, because you were working.
Because I was working, yeah.
And was there any...
There was very anti, they were anti,
it was
married women.
You should be in the house.
You should be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was even said, it's no wonder the poor girls can't get jobs with all the married ones staying on. Yeah. Oh, you get that, yeah, very regularly. Very regularly now from... but I'd say, there's no one stopping your wife from going out either. That was the answer. I was well able.
So you were able to handle them.
Yeah.
But you had to
I got on
thicker
great with
skin,
the
I
men.
suppose.
The men they were dotes, really. Most of them. And one of the things I laugh at now is, you can't say boo to anybody. Well, if you heard the things that happened to us in there.
Right.
Now, we had you'd get lads following you and harassing you and all that kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was, you went up to the signal cabin and you had to run around to it. Yeah. It was, that's what I often say. It was a different world. So different. Yeah. It was accepted that you could be handled and pawed and whatever
And
else.
if you complained, it was...
Oh, sure, you had no one to complain to. Oh, that's it,
Complain
girl.
to the lad that's doing it.
Yeah, nearly, yeah. Now, having said that, either of my 2 bosses, the 2 station managers, there was never any by them, but some of the staff now, yeah. But they all thought it was great fun, Yeah. But then I was able to put them on their backs too.
Yeah, well, I suppose you had to.
Oh,
the
you had
difference
to,
was
yeah,
that you
yeah.
had to wear your armour nearly going to work.
You were well guarded. You were,
Very different.
Yeah, but you look at, when I look back on it, it was innocent stuff too, to a certain extent, you know. But you shouldn't have had to put up with it either.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't have had to. But
And when you say that they made those comments that, you know, the mother is looking after that child and all that, was there ever a question of you giving up your job? Was that, did you?
I was one of the first, I'd say, in Irish Rail. I think the ban was lifted in, was it 75?
The marriage ban.
Marriage ban, yeah. I think it was 75.
Right.
And I got married in 76, so I was one of the first. Bagnallstown was in the Waterford area. There was Wexford, Clonmel, Carrick-on-Shore, Wellington Bridge, Carlow, Athy. We were all in the Waterford area. So I'd say I was one of the first to stay working.
Right.
But I never had any intention. I wouldn't have got married in 76 if I had to quit. So I didn't want to. I felt I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I was a history teacher in Present Kilkenny. When I was in secondary school also, I was very lucky to meet for the first time. Now, this is interesting to me, that I met a woman who was a teacher but wasn't a nun.
It was like, oh, you can do that.
You can do that. And she was wonderfully open. She was wonderful woman called Maura Flynn. And she was my Irish teacher, so she gave me an abiding love of the Irish language, which I'm grateful to her forever. And but she took an interest, you know, the day after. She was actually an examiner for the Oral Irish. But I remember, you know, phone calls were unheard of, you know, those days. But the night before, there was a phone call for me, you know, down in the kitchen in the boarding school, you know, to wish me luck the next day. You know, I mean, she was a wonderful woman. She was an amazing. She gave me Jonathan Swift's, you know, the Gulliver's Travel Street. I mean, that was the kind of just the generosity that she had.
I just had a thought there as you were speaking. What kind of seems to have kept popping up is that it was women that influenced your way of moving forward. It was your older sisters.
Yes.
It was your Irish teacher.
Yes.
It was strong women. Helped you along your path?
Very much. I think my mother had, how many sisters had Mummy? She had 3 or 4. There was a very strong presence of women, and maybe my mother was, and also she was very good friends with her sister-in-law, my Uncle John's wife, Lily White, you know. So I think my mother got support from women, you know, and so I think we saw that as always as a possibility. Do you know what? When you look at the complexity of sort of gender roles now, I can honestly say that I didn't have an awareness of women being inferior to men in any way growing up. I really didn't. No, I know it's from a child's perspective, and I have no focus on, say, what the sexual politics were, you know, which must have been there. I know that. But I really had a sense that everyone had a role, and those roles were respected and expected. They were both, you know, and everyone was more or less in the same boat and doing what they could, you know.
Mná Feasa is a podcast series featuring stories from older women in County Kilkenny. Produced by me, Helena Byrne, in collaboration with Kilkenny County Council Library Services and Kilkenny Heritage. This collaboration is kindly funded by commemorative initiatives under the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media. To find out more, visit helenabyrne.com.